Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Cable Rose. Let's talk leadership. We are in our series Art Through the Apocalypse, and we have another guest this morning. We have a artist here from the Amarillo area. Elijah and I kind of have crossed paths here recently, and so he and I reached out, and he was like, "Yo, let me come on and talk about that." I said, "Hell yeah, let's do that." So everybody, I've got Elijah Slaydon. He's our artist here this afternoon, and we're going to bring him on and introduce. So Elijah, welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
So do me a favor, Elijah, give us a background. Tell us, how did you get into art? How did you get into sitting here this afternoon talking to us about art and what have you? But how'd you get into it?
So I always liked art, like growing up, even as like a small child. It just being creative was always something that like inspired me and such. So, and I always felt like I was kind of good at it. You know, everybody when you're growing up, like there's one thing that you're like, oh, I'm kind of good at that. So I always tried to like kind of push myself towards art just because I liked it, you know, I had fun with it. So through high school, I was doing like sort of more like designing stuff, like on that sort of the spectrum, like logos and all that. But then whenever I went to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to drop all the art stuff because I was like, I don't really know how much of a profit it's going to make like in my future. So I went for programming for 1 year, and I was
Okay.
like, that is not that is not what I'm going to do. So then I transferred to another college, and I decided to pursue art, and that's kind of how I ended up to where I am.
Okay. So I really appreciate that. I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V is. I talk a lot about this guy, Gary V. He's a billionaire entrepreneur. He has all kinds of adventures and all kinds of stuff he gets into. But the really big thing he talks about is just following your passion, man. What are you into? And you're right. My brother, as an artist, my brother as well as an artist, uh, my mom and dad never told him like, hey, you're never going to make any money. You shouldn't do it. They just told him, if you want to do it, go do it, man. So I like the fact that uh, I, I'll give you some credit. You try to have a logical approach and say, I'm going to try something new or something different, which I think is cool too, right? You know, build your portfolio. But then you realize coding wasn't for you. And you said, I don't want to do any coding. And it brought you back to what you do and what you like to do. I don't think there's ever a wrong way of approaching life if you follow what you're interested in, what your passion is. So I dig it that you're back into art because you sent me a couple links this week. And I'm going to tease everybody out there. I want to show everybody a little bit of kind of what Elijah's talking about. So I'm going to pick something here. I'm going to try to slide out of the way and stuff. But what platform is this, or what website? I mean, not like a website, but what is this that we're looking at, Elijah?
It's the art station.
It's an art station. Okay, so I got this link and I went there and I started playing around. I was like, oh my goodness, look at some of this stuff. So like this one right here is tripping me out. Okay, so I got to figure out which way to go. But I'm going to get out of here. Whoa, I'm about to fall over. But this one here is like, you said Photoshop. This is something that you Photoshopped?
Yeah.
How many hours do you have into something like this?
Well, so something like this one's a little bit easier because it's using like a technique called photobashing.
Okay.
So, like, you know, like Childish Gambino, like that's him. Those are all like real images, but they're kind of used for like a reference, right? Like you kind of put them off to the side, and then you try to like redraw them in your own way, you know?
Okay. So I was close. When I saw this first image, I was thinking of This Is America. As soon as it popped up, I was like, all right, cool. So, all right, I was close. And then this one, I'm not a gamer per se. There's only one video game I play, and it's a Star Wars game because that's just me. But this looks like something that would come out of like, I don't know, World of Warcraft or Mythic Quest. If you watch the new Apple TV show, Mythic Quest, this is kind of what it reminds me of. What is this?
So whenever I was doing my college classes, whenever I switched and stuff, the college I went to was actually extremely good because the professors there were like actual artists in the industry. So like they were actually working at like game studios and stuff, and they would just come teach whenever they weren't working. And so this was one of my professors. He kind of helped me with this, you know. So he was like, all right, just try to do your best, and then I'll just kind of guide you to where, you know, you need to be. So that's kind of how this came to be. It was kind of just out of my head, you know.
Yep.
So
yep. I got a few more here. So this one is I don't know, I want to say Cyberpunk, what is it, 2077 or whatever. I don't know where this is going. What is this?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's like cyborgs and stuff, but they're kind of like classy cyborgs. I thought it'd be kind of cool, like a twist to it, you know?
With the suits, right?
Yeah. So
Okay, and then the last one here. So I'm a Star Wars fan, so I went straight Star Wars on this one. This almost looks like Infant's Nest, or is what my brain popped into. The middle one here. So this is called XYZ. What is this?
well, I was kind of thinking like maybe like it was like a what is it called? Like a fashion designer or whatever. But like way in the future, you know?
No, I
Like
dig it. So like
uh,
a fashion show where they're walking the catwalk.
yeah, but like way like, like that 2077 where it's like super in the future. So
Dude, I totally dig that. That's so dead on. Because like right now you got Kanye walking around with like holes chewed up in his
right,
clothes, right? And then in the future you're gonna have all your gear, and even if you're a over here on this guy, even if you're like part human, part robot or whatever, you're still gonna have the fashion wear. I think that's dead on, man. I love the creativity as people sit and put that to that. So do me a favor. What's your background? How do you come up with, or how do you pour into something? Where's it coming from? I don't know what I'm trying to ask there.
honestly, so a lot of times when I start, there isn't really anything there. Like I'll just start drawing and then whatever I come up with, I'll just be like, "Oh, this could be this," you know? Yeah, this could be something, and then I kind of just add on to that from like nothing, you know?
Okay. So I saw a meme this week, and I'm gonna apologize, but it said nobody in 2015 got the answer correct as where they see themselves in 2020, right? Because obviously nobody knew this was going to happen. But if I
Yeah.
ask the question for Elijah, where are you going in the next couple of years? What do you want to do, and where do you want to go with this? What's your answer?
Honestly, I wanna like pursue this kind of art, and eventually become a concept artist. So, if they're making the next Game of Thrones or like the next Skyrim game, I want to be a part of that, you know?
So I'm a big Star Wars guy, obviously. So McQuarrie, it's not Frank McQuarrie. Um, oh man, what was his name? McQuarrie. But he's the guy that did all the concept art for like the original '77 Star Wars and all the way through. He did all the concept art. That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
You want to be that creative team that sits out and then lays out what the vision is going to be.
Yeah. I think I've seen some of the concept art that guy did. Like was he the guy who made Darth Maul?
He did Maul. He did them all, right? He
Yeah.
did the chair for Palpatine. He's done basically everything for Star
Dude,
Wars.
that's so cool, isn't it? Like to be able to come up with something like that.
So it's cool because it's two parts, right? You've got George Lucas who had the idea and Frank McQuarrie who brings it to life. So you're talking about the same thing. When you
Yeah.
sit down, your pen and your brain doesn't know what's going to start, and then it turns into something that becomes that piece of art.
Yeah.
Um, I think I say it every episode almost. I don't have any artistic abilities. I can't draw a stick figure. I can't sing. I don't play music. I just talk. That's what I do. I'm a talker. Obviously, that's what I get paid for. But yeah, man, I think it's amazing to put people down and just watch their creativity flow and see what they come up with. And I was going through your page and I was looking at some of your stuff. There really isn't a particular thought that comes out. You've got each of these different ideas that show up here on your page, and you dabble in all sorts of stuff. It looks like you also do music and everything else. So I just like to be around creative people because it just gets my creative juices flowing as well. Um,
Right.
so let's see what else. What else, Elijah? What else? What have you been doing recently? So here we are. It's the apocalypse. Everybody's at home. I imagine. I take it you're probably at home. What are you doing right now through the apocalypse? Whether it's work or whether it's personal, what do you got going on with the artistic side?
Um, I haven't been like doing too much like focus drawing. I've been doing more like sketches
Okay.
recently, just kind of like throwing around ideas and whatnot. I did kind of try to work on a comic book over like the quarantine and stuff, which didn't really turn out how I wanted it, but it was cool just to like experiment.
So
So
was it digital or was it again pen to paper? Was it paneled?
it was digital. There's a new kind of comic books. It's like called webtoons. And
Yep.
so you scroll. So it's like you have panels, but like you set them up that they're just like continuous panels.
Okay.
So
So my brother's a cartoonist and he does the comics as well. And so he has all these binders and books of like the pre-paneled stuff, and you go in and you flip through his comic. And he's been trying to transfer over to the digital world and kind of get into the comics there as well. But
yeah,
oh man, there's a Marvel version, there's a DC version, there's Comixology, there's all these different types. And for some reason, I like comics. I like the digital. I think there's one out there. I think it's $10 a month, and you get every comic in that Marvel universe or whatever. I think
yeah.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, pouring into what you do and kind of how you do it, it's really cool to see. Like you said, the sketch. It's just something I started. It's gonna kind of progress into something, or maybe I move on to the next idea. Um,
So
is there anywhere that is there anything in particular that inspires you, or any kind of thing that's the background that's something that pops into your head and that's how it comes to be? Is there something back out there that does that for you, or is it literally just random?
well, sometimes I'm on Instagram a lot, and I like follow a lot of, like, art pages, you know. So
Yep.
sometimes like I'll see like a couple art posts, and I'm like, those are super cool. Like the way the artist drew that character, or, like the background is just like awe inspiring, you know.
Yep.
But so I might like try to like take like little bitty elements from
I
like
understand.
different artists, you know. Like if they had some dude has like a giant spike arm, I might like, okay, that's pretty cool spike arm. Let me try to put that into my character, you know.
Yep.
So
So I too follow some. There's a gentleman down in Ocala, in NHS. I'm gonna NEHS. I can't think of what NEHS stands for, but he started with Canvas, and he was doing superheroes, and they were just creative superheroes. Well, then he went into all sorts of realms, and now he does a little bit of everything. But like you said, you can kind of like, when I go through Instagram, even if I don't know what the page is, if I see something that's his, I know it's his because it just kind of stands out. So I love the
yeah,
fact that artists have that stamp on what they're doing, and that putting that out into the world and sharing it with everybody. So what is your ultimate goal? So I said 5 years, but what do you want to do? Like if you become help me out here. You said it, and I already forgot it. Concept artist, right?
mhm, yeah.
Concept artist. Um, so go back to a comment you said. You said, well, there's no money in that, so I went over here, and now you're back. What do you really intend to want to do with your art?
Okay, well there is money in it, but it's like, for like if I became a programmer, it would be a lot easier to find a job, and I would probably get paid more in reality, you know.
Okay.
So being a concept artist, it's like you have to be the best of the best to get a job in the industry. And I mean, the pay is good. Like they're not gonna like skimp you on your money or anything.
Sure.
Like so, I mean, I would in reality be fine with that. You know, maybe not working for the same company, but like just being able to work where I wanted. You know, just drawing freely. I think that's a pretty good goal.
I love that. Seriously, that right there says more than dollar signs. I want to be able to go where I want to go and produce what I want to produce and draw what I want to draw and share it with whoever. I think that's a wonderful way to look at this. I think you've got a real talent. I think you've got a real passion for what you do. Just looking at some of the stuff, I would want to play that game. I know it's not a game, or I would want to have that character. This one here reminds me of, and I know it's not, but I always see like part of Borderlands in here. It's just kind of where my brain goes to and stuff. I could see you putting some of those touches on some of those ideals and some of those concepts out there. So, man, I got to tell you what, Elijah, I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate you sharing with us. I
Of
appreciate
course,
you
man.
just being an artist, man. Just do what you do, man. I think it's fantastic how you see the world and what you put out there. To everybody out there, Elijah, I'm going to share, if there's anything you want me to share in the liner notes, I can put your website, I can put your blog, I don't know, Instagram. We'll share those contacts, and we'll put it down here below in post editing and everything else, so we can share whatever you want to share. But I appreciate you being here. Anything else you want to say to the audience before we go?
No, that's it. Thanks for having me though.
Cool, man. Hey, listen, and I know we get together every couple of weeks, so obviously at the next meeting as well. But for everybody else out there in TV land, we appreciate you coming through Arc Through the Apocalypse, and we'll catch you guys on the flip flop.